Hi everyone, today we're going to create a cultural mask and we're going to be using tracing paper, a black marker, and something to color with. It can be markers, crayons, color pencils, anything that you have accessible. I'm going to be using markers for my project. Our main focus, boys and girls, today is going to be to create symmetry. Symmetry refers to how an image is the same on both sides. So one side of our paper is going to be symmetrical to the other side of my paper as well. Our faces are symmetrical as well. And many things that we see in nature are symmetrical. We can find symmetry in many different things. So in order to create symmetry in our picture, we're going to first need to fold our paper in half. And we're going to do so by holding our paper down and folding it like if we were closing a book. Making sure that the lines towards the edge are aligned. The corners are also aligned. We hold our paper and we fold it so that we can get that nice fold as even as possible. So use both hands to fold your paper, going up and down, just like this. Okay, before you open up your paper or do anything else to it, let's go ahead and start marking our paper so that we can get that nice symmetry going on. If you notice, boys and girls, this is the flap where it opens up, but rather than opening it up, we're actually going to mark it here towards the top. So we're with your black Sharpie, about an inch or so from the top part, we're going to make a small mark that is going to help us define the top of our mask. Okay, make sure that the opening part is on the opposite side. Okay, now we're going to mark it up maybe about another inch or so on the side here towards the middle. And we're going to mark it just right in the middle. And then towards the bottom part, about an inch or so also, we're going to mark it down here. That's going to be the bottom of the mask. This will be the side, that will be the top. So now we're going to connect that first line that we made onto the second line by curving our mark right there. From the second mark to the last mark, we're also going to connect it by curving our line and connecting those two. So as you can see, boys and girls, we now have the mask head for our project. Right, now we're going to do the facial features, which are going to be within the mask in this area here. So we want to leave a pretty good space for the forehead. And we're going to think about the eye shape. The eye shape is going to be kind of like a little, I don't know, like an oval. You can make it like an elliptical shape. You can also make it like an almond shape. So let's go ahead and make the eye shape, which is going to curve like a rainbow line and then connect towards the bottom. Now, this line here is going to connect to the nose area. So for the nose, we're going to bring a straight line down and then connect it to the end of the paper here. Now for the mouth area, we're going to actually make only half of an oval area here. So that's going to be the mouth, but we only have half of the oval showing. Okay. Now we're going to go ahead and focus on this part right here. This part is going to help us build on towards the top of the mask. So let's take a look and see. I have pointy ears that we can use as a reference, maybe some round ears, some horns. So you're going to think about what you would rather see in your mask. Maybe you want a pointy ear, maybe you want a round ear, maybe you want a horn. So let's go ahead and add that next. You can add whatever you want to your mask. Horns, ears, something sticking out from the top part of the mask area. Okay, so now we're going to elaborate upon that part and add detail. So look at the ear here, has quite a bit of detail. The horn has detail. This pointy ear also has detail. So think about the type of detail that you want. Do you want shapes within your ear? Do you want lines and patterns within your ear? Anything that you decide to add, go ahead and add it next. This is more like a textured ear there. So let's go ahead and do that next. I think I want a textured ear on mine. You can add patterns, shapes, different designs, whatever you decide. It's okay. All right, now we're going to focus on the forehead part of the mask. And just like we did the ear here, we're going to also elaborate upon this area. So first, we're going to start off with a nice simple shape. A shape that is only drawn halfway. Because remember, we're only doing half of the mask first. The other half will be symmetrical, so we're just going to be tracing the rest of it. So here, you're only going to need to do half of the shape. If you do a heart design, you're going to need half of the heart. If you need, or if you're going to do a circle design, you only do half of the circle, and so on and so forth. So I think I want a circle. And I'm only going to do half of the circle. Now here on top of the eye area and towards the forehead, I have a big space here where I can add some designs. So you guys can go ahead and elaborate upon the designs that you want for this area here. I'm just going to do some curved lines in this area. You decide what you want for yours. Now we're going to go ahead and move on to the eye area and do a pupil. You can make it narrow like a cat's eye, like a feline. You can do it round. Any type of eyeball that you want is fine. And now we're going to move on to this area here, which is going to be towards the cheek. So here under the eye, we can actually elaborate upon these designs. So let's go ahead and add something interesting under the eye. It can be zigzag lines, pointy lines, any type of line that you want for yours. I'm also going to add extra detail towards my cheek. If you add dots, if you add little tiny designs, that's fine too. Anything that you want to add extra within the face, this would be a good time to add it. So let's go ahead and do that next. All right, boys and girls. So now that we have our designs and detail within our face area, we're going to move on to this bottom section here. And here we can add maybe a collar or a beard. Maybe we want a mane. It's up to you. Whatever you want for this mask to have kind of hanging on towards the bottom of its face, this would be a good time to add it. So let's go ahead and add something interesting towards the bottom now. You can add anything you want. I'm going to add a mane to mine. And just like the detail that I added within my mask, I'm also going to do that within the mask beard itself. So we can also add extra detail to anything else that we add to our mask. All right, boys and girls. So now, before we move on to the next step, I would like for you to think about adding some color contrast with our black marker. So we want to try to highlight some of these areas and try to bring them out. You're going to think about some of the smaller sections and color them in with your black marker. This is an option, and this creates great contrast once it's all colored in with the colorful coloring tools that we're going to use next. So let's go ahead and try to get some of that nice dark contrast in our picture. You're going to just decide on coloring in small details. Again, you're only going to color in small details with your black marker. All right, boys and girls, so here we go. Now we have filled in our details into our picture. Now, before we do anything else to this, we need to transfer over this side of our image over to the opposite side so that we can get a nice, good symmetry going on. So as you can see, boys and girls, this paper here that we're working with is pretty translucent. That means that if we just flip it over to the back side, we can see everything very, very clearly. If you kind of run your fingers, your hand through the whole surface, you can see your mask very clearly. So this side of our mask is going to be symmetrical to this side of our mask if we trace it. So let's go ahead and do that next. Take your black marker and start tracing. All right, boys and girls, so now that we're done tracing the whole image, let's go ahead and open up our paper and see what kind of symmetry we have going on here. I haven't colored in the other areas on the opposite side of my mask. That's the only thing that I'm missing. So I can go ahead and do that next. All right, boys and girls, so now that you have completed all of your mask with the contrast and the symmetry, we're going to move on to the next step, which is the coloring part. For the coloring part, you can use any type of coloring tools that you have accessible to you. I'm going to be using colored markers for mine. So let's go ahead and start using some symmetry in our color use as well. Remember that half of our mask is going to be the same as the other half. So let's say, for instance, I use red for this area here. Well, if I use red for this area, then I have to look over to the opposite side and also apply the same color on the opposite side. This is what's going to give me that nice symmetry with my color use as well. So not only do I have color symmetry on one side and the other, but I will also have line symmetry on both sides as well. That's going to be our goal for the coloring part. And let's go ahead and do that next. Also, boys and girls, try to color in as nice and thorough as possible. Try not to scribble your colors and try not to leave any white areas showing. So let's go ahead and do a nice job with the coloring part. That's what we're going to do next.